Welcome to Typecasting.
Pop culture by the numbers. That's your host, Lucas Creighton, and I don't know if he's the boy who lived, but he is alive and a cute person.
I am a boy who did live. And that's your co-host, Mirjana Tumatua, who I would love to see as head of Gryffindor House.
Why?
Or Ravenclaw.
I'm not even a
because
Gryffindor.
we're talking about Minerva.
You know what, though? I would be a kick-butt astrology professor. I don't believe
That's
in,
true.
you know what I mean? I don't believe in it, but I did take astronomy, and I will never let anyone forget it. Well, we thought we'd give you a little refresher here on our rules of typecasting. Here in Typecasting, two Enneagram Type 4s, our favorite, are having a spoiler-filled discussion of the best fictional characters and discovering where they fall on the Enneagram personality.
There are a few ground rules here at Typecasting. Before we get down to business, let's review.
Alrighty, let's do this. We know our rules. Rule number 1, every type is beautiful.
Number 2, the Enneagram is a tool, not a box.
Rule number 3, we only type fictional characters. You are always the authority on your own type.
Number 4, our favorite, we are not experts.
Oh my gosh, that felt so good. I'm like so nostalgic right now. Can you believe we're in season 3? Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. This is incredible. It's unbelievable. It's super awesome. I was about to say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and I don't know why.
We were both in, fun fact, we bonded over the fact that we were both in Mary Poppins our last year of high school.
Yes, we were.
I loved it. It was like my favorite show that I was ever in. I don't know.
Which is so funny because it was like my least favorite show that I was ever in.
So funny.
Well, Honk was my least favorite show that I was ever in, but Mary Poppins was second.
Oh my gosh. Well, Honk is a weird one, but I'm so glad we're here. We're not talking about either of those because today we're talking all about Harry Potter. Lucas, how are you feeling?
I can't believe we made it. This Harry Potter, I have been asking since day one, when can we talk about Harry Potter? When can we talk about Harry Potter? Can we give Harry Potter its own season? Because I need to talk about every single Harry Potter character that's ever existed. Like,
I know. And so here's the deal. I just want to give everyone, we did our rules just to remind you guys what we're all about. Second, just a little bit of a heads up who we are. I loved Harry Potter, but I was a poser until I went to college and I watched all the movies and I went to all the midnight premieres and I love the idea of magical beings. I also grew up super churchy. So my parents would sometimes be for or against it. And then I read the books in college, which I loved. And I listened to the audiobooks still to this day, sometimes just because they're very well done. So that's kind of where I'm at. I am definitely not obsessed. I do not own anything Harry Potter in my house, I don't think, at all. That's not necessarily who I am. We're Lucas is the opposite.
Yes. Meanwhile, the sign over my door literally says Diagon Alley. My room is 50% clothes and 50% Harry Potter memorabilia. We are on Zoom right now and I can literally see 2 of my wall displays with a bunch of different character wands on them. It is I eat, breathe, sleep Harry Potter. Have loved it since I was a child. I began my journey reading the first book and I thought the first chapter was so boring because I was little. And it's just the Dursleys. They don't do anything. And so I was like, Mom, I'm bored. So she got me the first movie on DVD. She was like, okay, maybe if you watch it, you'll be more interested and you'll want to read the rest of the series. And then I watched spoiler-filled book 1, Quirrell with Voldemort on the back of his head. And I was absolutely terrified. And I did not touch the book again for another 2 years. But
oh my gosh. I was going to say, is that what did it for you? That's what made you like it?
No. I had, if you love something, let it go. And if it's meant to be, it'll come back to you. And Harry Potter came back a few years later and the rest is history.
I've never heard anyone use that for a form of media. I love it so much. Well, I'm so excited. This is going to be so much fun and I'm excited because let's just dive in. Today we're talking about our professors and let's do it.
Yes, please. I am so excited that I get to introduce the one and only Minerva McGonagall, as I mentioned, the head of Gryffindor House. She teaches transfiguration. She's also an animagus, which means she can turn into a cat at will. And she is, I think, known as kind of the no-nonsense teacher. And you do not want to cross McGonagall. She happily sends 3 11-year-olds into the Forbidden Forest for detention because they're like out at night. Hogwarts has some like child protection rules that it should probably look into.
Reconsider, yeah.
Yeah. However, I love McGonagall. She has a really great heart for her children. I think she takes a really personal responsibility and investment in their learning, in their care, in their development. She helps Harry, especially as an orphan who really hasn't known a lot of love and support his whole life. She is really his champion on the Quidditch pitch. Mm-hmm. She's the one who like sees his pure talent as he's flying to save Neville's Remembrall and says, I need to get you on the Quidditch team. Part of that is because she's highly competitive and she wants to beat Slytherin, but also I think because she sees this opportunity for Harry to find a new passion, find something that he loves that connects him to his father, who loved Quidditch as well. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't believe I get to be talking about Harry Potter characters right now.
I'm like, this is the Lucas show now. Can't wait.
So
I just wanted to say that I started watching Downton Abbey recently, and I was looking at McGonagall, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, is that cousin Violet?" I like they are very similar people on the shows, but also
That's
very
so
different,
funny.
and it was really hilarious. I like to think that they're connected for sure in real life,
like twin sisters. One of them born. 2 sisters, one born with magic powers, one powerless.
I love it. Yeah.
And so Minerva like goes off to teach at Hogwarts, and then cousin Victoria, sister Victoria. I missed it. I don't watch Downton Abbey.
Cousin Victoria, or no, Violet. I believe. Violet. Honestly, their names are so long. Like I was like, who the heck is cousin Isabel? Meanwhile, that's my favorite character. Then every time she comes on screen, I clap. I had no idea her name because they have too many long titles. Anyway, let's dive in. I have a very like strong feeling on who this character on Minerva, Professor McGonagall. Mm-hmm. She is a one-wing. Oop! I don't do that. She is a 1. She has such strict rules. She doesn't break the rules. I'm thinking specifically of the time that everyone's going to Hogsmeade. And even though she loves Harry so much, she tells him no because that's like against the rules. And although she loves them fiercely and with passion, she like always takes away points before someone else gives them points because she like believes in the rules. The world is black and white. She loves others so well and so selflessly, but she knows if everyone doesn't follow the rules, like things will fall apart, especially in this magical world. And I think of like how she is putting her life on the line for the physical building of the school in the finale. Again, spoiler-filled podcast. And I just think of how selfless she is and how what is right, and she is going to do what is correct. And I think we just see that, and it's so evident throughout the entire series, is that she is a 1, and she can't stray from what the rules are. Yeah, I probably picked a bad example, but it was also like she's so sweet and kind most of the time. I
love that example.
But that also was like, she's like, sorry, like she's I know like, you're an orphan.
I'm sorry, Paul.
And
I can't.
But I'm not. Yeah, I can't really do an Irish accent. But
I am neither a parent nor a guardian. That's my terrible.
She
I can't do a
guardian though. Like I have no idea what she means. So that is kind of my feeling on the matter.
Yeah.
She is a 1. I have a very strong feeling what her wing is, but I want to hear what you think first.
I do completely agree. She is a type 1, and speaking of the final book, the final movies, there's one moment that I think is a very like fun one moment of her. This is only in the movies, but there's all of those statues in the entrance hall of the castle, and she casts the spell to bring them all to life and to like defend Hogwarts and be the first line of defense against the Death Eaters. And it's this big grand moment, and then she kind of gets giddy and she's like, I've always wanted to use that spell. And she never would have until it was the right time to do it. Like she would never she would never do something for the pure enjoyment of it. She's doing it because it's finally the right thing to do, but then she gets the enjoyment out of finally like being able to do it. But also I think in the 7th installment, Snape is acting as headmaster after killing Dumbledore, and she stays at the school. She stays as deputy headmistress, and I like to believe that she is just like working as hard as she can behind the scenes to like protect the kids and hold on to like any sense of security and safety for them that she can. But she also isn't going to like threaten Snape or like she's not about anarchy or chaos. She's like, I'm going to like stay within the lines that I need to stay within and like do everything I possibly can within my role at the school to help. And she's like, I need to stay here because all of these like sympathizers for Dumbledore and for Harry are getting kicked out or getting tortured. And she is like that last line of defense, but she's also kind of like staying, I think, and working where she can instead of trying to like break out of that box. I love this is a scene from the books now. The statues is the movies. This is a scene that is not in the movies that I love, when Harry and Luna go up to the Ravenclaw common room to look for the lost diadem, and he sees one of the Death Eaters who is teaching the dark arts spit on McGonagall, and he Crucios, like he has the power to use an unforgivable curse on this man because he spit on McGonagall, and like
amazing.
The love and like admiration that is inside of Harry and that she is able to foster like with these students, even though she's not super affectionate, I think just speaks to like the respect they have for her. She's like stalwart. She's like just so respectable again. Like, and when she, I just love her. I'm literally just going to recap the whole series and everything that she does in the whole series. But I totally agree that she has like that beautiful like guiding force and like fortitude of a one.
Absolutely. And I was just gonna say she definitely has a wing too. Like she's such a mother to all of these children, and she goes forth and helps in any way she can. She doesn't break too many of the rules, but she like loves these kids fiercely, and I think in only a way that like a one-winged two can, so selflessly and so caringly. So I put the stamp on that one. I don't know. What do you think? You agree?
100%. She just like, you know what? I'm going to use that as an excuse to say the scene I wanted to say. In the 6th book, after Dumbledore is killed and the Death Eaters are like rampaging against Hogwarts, she takes like multiple stunning spells to the chest by herself. Like she is fighting these people off, and she is putting herself in the line of danger to protect these kids, because she is, like you say, so selfless in her like care and determination for these people. And I just love her so much.
Oh, I do too. She's over or underrated, I think. I agree. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, my turn. Hopefully I do an okay job talking about our dear pal Hagrid, Rubeus Hagrid. He is the on-site facilities manager at Hogwarts. And what?
I love the Muggle terms for his job.
Yeah. I grew up on a campground. Sorry, everyone. So that's what I like. That's why I know it is his job. He's a maintenance guy, but he takes care of the grounds of Hogwarts, and he did get expelled from Hogwarts when he was in his 5th year, I think. That might not be completely correct, but he isn't allowed to have a wand. He has an umbrella. He has a motorcycle. He lives this very, like, I think of him as like your estranged uncle. It's like very lovable, very kind. We're just like, what are you up to? Like, what is going on here? Great guy. He's the one who lets Harry Potter know that he is a wizard, and he takes him under his under his wing when he comes to understand the wizarding world for the first time. And he, throughout the series, is kind of a sidekick to the children, to Harry, Ron, and Hermione, as well as like kind of a guardian. I feel like he's not the best guardian, really good friend. And because he kind of puts them in danger's way, or like tries to not put them in danger's way, but like gives them excellent information that could like hinder the mission. And so I really appreciate him as a character. I think he's so fun. I have a couple Hagrids in my life and they're great people.
Loose lips sink ships, Hagrid.
Yeah,
he cannot keep a secret to save his life.
I know. And he also like he ends up having like a crazy past and like knowing Voldemort since the very beginning, and takes the fall for some stuff. And he also has a heart for magical creatures, and so eventually he becomes magical creature professor. Is that what that class is called?
Care of Magical Creatures, yeah.
Care of Magical Creatures Professor, which is very exciting for him that he gets to be able to do that. He gets a very hands-on approach to understanding the magical creatures at Hogwarts.
Well, and that's what I was thinking about when you said, like, maybe not a great guardian, but a great friend. Like, a lot of the times because he is a half giant, he doesn't understand that, like, things that are not dangerous to him are dangerous to like other people, because he like he moves through the world in a different way, and he doesn't always understand that, like, he just sees the good in every single one of these creatures and could never imagine them hurting a living soul. And like he just I do think that he is a type 2. I think he is such like a helper, and he just has this goodness in his heart and this like optimism in the way that things like are going to, in the way that people should be, and he is just going to like be there and help them. I think it's really special that he is the person that like Dumbledore trusts to go get Harry from the wreckage of his parents' murders. He sends Dumbledore, and in the very first scene of the whole series, McGonagall says to Dumbledore, like, do you really think it wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this? And Dumbledore says, I would trust Hagrid with my life, because Hagrid is just such a steadfast friend and helper. I think he has a very maternal instinct with these kids as well. Like, he's even more affectionate with them than someone like McGonagall is. But even with the creatures, with someone like Norbert, the Norwegian Ridgeback dragon, that he is just like so excited to have this dragon and to care for it. And then oh my gosh, again, I'm rambling, but I'm just thinking about when he meets his half-brother Grop, and he keeps Grop out, this giant out in the forest, and he is like, no, I'm going to like rehabilitate him. He was the runt of the group, and I like saw that, and I like swore to protect him and to bring him back with me. And it just, I think he's a beautiful type 2. And it looks like you agree.
Oh, I totally agree. I had a really hard time though figuring out his wing. I'm just gonna say that like outright. I don't know what it is. But he is so loving towards the students, and I do think he even has that little bit of like, I expect a little bit from like you, because I would do this for you. And I think Harry is like his son figure. Man, I know it's a point of contention in the Harry Potter community, but the names, I'm like, you had Hagrid. You could have named your kid after Hagrid. You know what I mean? Like, you could have picked all those crazy names, and like he was like up there, and he was like actually kind to you, and he held your hand as you discovered the wizarding world. What the heck, Harry?
He is there. A moment of like, I think a thing that this book series does really well is like full circle moments. There's actually this whole theory, it's called ring theory or circular theory, that if you look at the books 1 through 7 as a mirror, 1 and 7 mirror each other, and 2 and 6 and 3 and 5. It's very fascinating. And then there's like a lot of turning points in book 4. But one of my favorite of those full circle moments is that not only does he hold Harry's hand as he's entering the wizarding world, like brings him into the Muggle world, but then he carries Harry out of the Forbidden Forest when Voldemort kills him in the last book. And like he carries him both in and out of the world.
I never noticed that before. Okay, wow. I don't, that like actually made me tear up. I did not know that. That was very beautiful. And I knew it, but I didn't think of it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, he's great. He's a 2. Probably has a little bit of a wing 3 in there. I don't know like what from.
I feel the wing 3 as well because we do this sometimes. I don't love it, but it's like I don't see a 1 in him. Like he is so much more about like like the goal of it than he is the method. Like he's like, oh, I'm gonna teach these kids about Buckbeak, about hippogriffs. I'm not gonna worry about like what's the right way to do it or what's the safe way to do it. It's like, oh, just go meet them. And so again, I think it's less that I see the 1 or less that I see the 3 and more that I don't really see the 1. But he's just such a strong 2, you know? Like
No, that's exactly how I feel. Oh, I love it. Okay, our final character. I had to say before we even get into it, because I know you're going to introduce him. I love to live in denial about this one. Like I love him, and I know I'm not supposed to, but I do. Okay, go ahead.
It's funny that you say that because I was going to say, speaking of the names, Albus is not the worst name that Harry could have chosen, but I don't know that it was at the top of my list either, because we are talking about Albus Dumbledore. Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore is his full name, in case you're curious. And he is the headmaster at Hogwarts. He is also very much the puppet master of a lot of Harry's childhood and Harry's life. He is the one who says, okay, Hagrid, go get Harry. He is a baby. He's alone. I'm going to leave him with his parents because there is a blood pact that will protect Harry from Voldemort as long as he can call Privet Drive home. And as long as he can live here and call it his home, he will be safe. And then he is also guiding and mentoring Harry throughout the series. He then, as we learn in some of the later books and movies, has a very complicated past of his own, with his brother Aberforth, with their sister Ariana, and with Grindelwald.
Which is crazy.
And the fact that after this big duel between his brother Grindelwald and himself, none of them know who killed their sister. And it's this mystery that I think he carries with him. It's a guilt that I think is really formative in the rest of his life and that he carries with him for the rest of his life. Harry develops some really deep attachments to Dumbledore, but I don't know that Dumbledore is always the most like forthcoming with Harry. He often, I think, leaves things unsaid, leaves a lot of things unsaid when he's dead. And Harry is like, you didn't prepare me at all. Like, I feel very blindsided by this.
Especially for someone who knew he was going to die. Yeah.
Yes, who was planning his own death and didn't tell Harry that he was going to die and all of this stuff. So, he's good at keeping secrets, but he's also like very eccentric, very wise. And a lot of people want him to take power. They want him to run the ministry. And he doesn't have any desire for like power, like political ambition, which I also think is interesting.
Lucas, when like you'd make a stupid decision and the only way you can like make it feel better or say like, oh, it was good for the plot. I feel like that is like Albus Dumbledore. Because like I think if he was a real person, when you give all his characteristics, he would not have made the decisions he did. But like for the plot and for us as readers to discover things as we went along, Dumbledore had to keep quiet. And that's very much how I feel. Because I think like he as a person, I really like him. But I also like do understand how frustrating that would be to Harry. And not even frustrating, but like traumatizing. And so like I hold both. And I understand that, but I'm also like, if it weren't a book and it was real life, I think it would have been different. But that's how I feel about that.
I want to say real quick before you type him, because you were like, I know I'm not supposed to like him, but I do. I think that there's a journey that readers go on in the books where you idolize Dumbledore and he is on this pedestal for the first 6 books of like, he is the greatest wizard of all time. He's the only one Voldemort ever feared. And then after he dies and more of his human side is shown, he falls off that pedestal. But I think a lot of people take it too far. Like, I think a lot of people are like, oh, Dumbledore sucks. He was the worst. He was evil. I think he was human and flawed and made a lot of mistakes. But I don't think we're like necessarily supposed to hate him. We will get to a character that I think the fandom misreads in a little bit.
Honestly,
but Dumbledore, I think you're allowed to like.
If the fandom likes them, I usually hate them. That's what I'll say. Like, I feel like that I think that's where the line is crossed. We can get there when we get there, but it's like, you're gonna tell me you stand that one when you have this one?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying
Dumbledore.
Like, we can give Dumbledore some slack. Not all the slack, because Harry was a child, but some slack.
That's so true. This man is a 5. This man's a 5. He's also a Ravenclaw. I don't know why she made him a Gryffindor.
Right?
I get so annoyed like by that kind of stuff. But I also think, like, how could she have known that this was going to be like this huge world? Like, I think like she started it and then it got a little ahead of her, and like something she just like, this is just how it is, because in my head I don't have to excuse it for you. But
she has a hard time admitting that she made things up as she went along. She has to like preserve this idea that she knew it all from the beginning for some reason. Girly, if anybody's ever written a story, they know that's not true. Like, that's just not how stories work. But
I don't know what she's thinking. So,
but I digress. I will let you continue. Yes.
With a moody wing 4, he is in his head a lot. He is planning things out. He doesn't feel like he needs to explain it. He just like isolated under like the fact that he just like never takes a partner, lives by himself in this castle, like refuses to be the Ministry of Magic, even though everyone wants him to. Like, that's just so like 5. He thinks about the world so differently than anyone else does, and he's like so skilled at what he does, but like doesn't have the 3-ness of like trying to impress anyone. He just like kind of does it. Like, my cousin's a 5, and I'm like, hey Khalid, what's up? Like, that is him to a T. Like, they're very similar people. And so like, he's one of those people I don't feel like I have to even say more. I'm like, mic drop, that is a 5. I've never seen one. He has a wing 4. Thank you very much.
100% agreed. Like easy type 5. He is secretive. He is holding all the cards. He is living in his own mind palace. He's tactical. He's observant. He's strategic. Like, he is running all of these plans and these plays like completely without anybody else knowing. And he's also so attuned to other people. Like, he knows how to play people. He is a manipulator, I think, in a lot of ways, but it's because he's so observant and he knows the way people works and he understands. And like you say, he never takes a lover. Like, he and Grindelwald fall in love at a young age and then have that really terrible ending to their relationship.
We still haven't gotten to see
those Fantastic Beasts movies. I can't think about it. I can't talk about it. But he then, I think from a young age, like he was such an achiever as a kid. Like, I think like we see when he's growing up that like he had a lot of ambition, but then he learns really early that he has to become the provider for his family. He's self-reliant in that way, and he's withdrawn. Like, I think he's such a 5. There was a character last season right at the very end with Iroh where we were kind of between the 9 and the 5. And I was like, I was thinking about Dumbledore, and I was just thinking Dumbledore like sees the way. And listen, type 5s, I love you. One of our best friends, not only your cousin, but also one of our best friends. One of my, like, the people I respect most in this world is a type 5. I love my type 5s. However, Dumbledore looks at how people are useful to him, and like Iroh looks at what people have in common with him. Like, Dumbledore, I think, like sees people more as like tools, and he takes on all that pressure. Like, he is literally trying to orchestrate a defense against the worst dark wizard the wizarding world has ever seen. So like, again, he gets a pass because he had to do what he had to do.
In his
exactly.
Head. Yeah.
Exactly. It's wartime. Like, decisions had to be made, but 100%, such a 5, such a wing 4. He loves, like, he has that, like, I think it was a few weeks ago, or he has that thing you talked about with Force before about like that secret pride of being different. Like he likes being exceptional in the way that I think fours enjoy being exceptional. So such a 5-wing 4. I think he's a very complex character, but I was surprised at how easy it was to type him, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. I think honestly, like ending with Iroh last season like helped me put it in perspective. But he does have just some characters like come off with a vibe and you're like, yeah, that's it. And you almost had to come up with a story for the vibe more than the other way around. So oh my gosh. What a short first episode. This was so fun. I think we're very excited. We have a lot of energy for this season. And I am so excited to go through the wild wizarding world of Harry Potter with you.
Me too. Yeah, we were just flying through. I think like I just have so many thoughts, and that I have been literally wanting to type these characters for so long that I'm like, okay, you could rapid fire everybody that we're going to be talking about. And I'd be like, okay, actually, speaking of rapid fire, there's a couple characters that I don't think we are planning to talk about. Specifically one I want to know if you have any thoughts on, since this is our episode on the professors, is the icon herself, Professor Trelawney.
Trelawney's one of my favorites. I look like her every time I have my hair down and my glasses on. I like do a double take because I feel like I look like her. Love it. Just in that very specific outfit, like not I do not look like her physically. I'm gonna give her 4. Very intuitive, 4-wing 5, lots of feelings, lots of emotions, lots of things going on inside of her head. What do you think?
I agree. I was also thinking about Sprout, Professor Sprout, head of Hufflepuff House. And I think she gives me 6 vibes. Like she's a lot about, but also I don't know. I see just like
I was gonna give her a 2 without even thinking about it.
I could see a 2, and you know what? I see a strong wing 3 in the way that Hufflepuffs like value hard work and determination. However, this is where the 6 came from, like the loyalty of the Hufflepuff and like how that's like such core to them. I was wondering if she had some of that, but I think 2 wing 3 is a better like picture.
I think so too. Well, that was fun. I'm trying to think of any. I don't really know anything about Flitwick.
I know.
Whatever it is.
I had the same thought. It's our head of house, and we don't know enough about him. Sad.
Whoops. We'll give him a 4 because we're 4s.
I feel like Ravenclaw, and like you said, Dumbledore should have been a Ravenclaw. I feel like Ravenclaw is the house of 4s and 5s. But when we get to the end of this, Brain Blast, Jimmy Neutron, I want to sort or like count how many of like each house have each number and see if there's any correlation.
Ooh, I'm so excited to see your evidence on that. Is that what I mean to say? I don't know. I'm really excited though.
Awesome.
All right. Until
we will
next
be back
week.
Next week. Bye.
Bye, Lucas.
Thank you for listening to Typecasting. Leave a review and tell your friends about the show. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Typecasting Pod for more Enneagram and pop culture fun.